All right. Well, thank you for coming, everyone. It's great to have you here. And welcome to our Mindful Eating webinar. Thank you so much for coming. When we think of eating and how it relates to wellness or health, our minds often go to what should we be eating, how much we should be eating, nutrition, macros, minerals, vitamins, supplements, diets, and all these other nutrition-related topics. Today, we wanted to help you simplify things and present on one topic, mindful eating. In the spirit of Mental Health Awareness Month, we will break down what mindful eating is, how it works, different practices of mindful eating, as well as taking you all through an eating activity. So have a treat ready. I forgot my treat, unfortunately. Our goal is to give you this information so you can immediately apply it to your life. Now, before we go over today's topic, there are a few housekeeping items I would like to go over quick. This webinar will be recorded and emailed to everyone in attendance. So if you need to leave the webinar early or you want to revisit the content, the recording will be uploaded to our webinar, our Yammer community, and to our YouTube channel. The slide deck will also be available for you to review. And when it comes to our webinars, we would like to engage and interact with you as much as we can throughout the course of the presentation. Please utilize chat to add comments or ask questions, and we will respond throughout. Or if we don't get to your question, we will contact you individually. Next, if you haven't already, we strongly encourage you to track your personalized healthy habits on the Healthier Together Hub. There are over 8 or 60 different eating-related healthy habit challenges ranging from water and food trackers, salt consumption, fiber and protein intake, as well as mindful eating practices. There are many ways to help yourself stay accountable with these programs. The Healthier Together Hub also houses various Medtronic resources. Sorry about the events and challenges. It's your one-stop shop for wellness. So please reach out to any of us directly if you have any specific questions. Now I would like to hand over the mic to Carolyn Rice, our new wellness program manager, who will help us understand what exactly mindful eating is and how it works.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Isaac. I appreciate it. And welcome to everyone. I'm excited to explore this topic with all of you today. So mindful eating, what is it and how does it work? So Dr. Susan Albers, a psychologist with the Cleveland Clinic of Psychiatry and Psychology, states that mindful eating is about awareness. When you eat mindfully, you slow down, pay attention to the food you are eating, and savor every bite. So what is it? Mindful eating is basically an approach to food that focuses on an individual's sensual awareness of the food and their experience of the food. So like Isaac said, it's so easy for us to constantly wonder, how much should we eat and what should we eat? And we can become almost overwhelmed with all the conflicting information that is out there today. And mindful eating simplifies that. It really has little to do with calories, carbohydrates, fat, protein, minerals, supplements, all those things that Isaac mentioned earlier as well. It really is about paying attention to our food without any judgment. So the purpose of mindful eating is not to lose weight, even though that is quite likely. The main purpose is to create a healthy relationship with food. So eating mindfully means that you are using all your physical and emotional senses to experience and enjoy the food choices that you make. This helps to increase our gratitude for food, which can improve the overall eating experience. Mindful eating encourages one to make choices that will be satisfying and nourishing to the body. However, it discourages judging one's eating behaviors, as there are different types of eating experiences. And as we become more aware of our eating habits, we may take steps towards behavior changes that will benefit ourselves and our environment. So it's been recognized for quite some time that without behavior change, a diet can be quite useless. And although significant attention is given to studying diets to determine which is the most effective, we still come up with the same answer. They are all effective in the short term, and no one diet has been shown to be effective in the long term. Diets tend to focus on rules, like we said, what to eat, how much to eat, what not to eat, with the intended measurement of specific outcomes. These outcomes are most likely weight loss, but they can also be a biometric marker such as blood sugar or cholesterol levels. And all diets have the potential of success or failure based on these outcomes. People may know their outcomes are going to depend on their consumption and expenditure of calories and understand that this has to do with their behavior, but it is rare for individuals to sustain behavior change without seeing results on their outcomes. And their behavior change will be subject to daily stress, outside pressures, and therefore very difficult to sustain. Mindful eating, on the other hand, is a process-oriented rather than an outcome-driven behavior. It is based on an individual's experience of the moment. As you can see, the individual sets an intentional focus before the meal even begins. This allows the individual to then select foods that are consistent with their desirable health benefits. The individual is not concerned with restricting intake, but instead tunes into their body cues to choose how much to consume. With this mindful approach, the individual then can savor every bite and enjoy the meal experience. Now that we understand a little more about what mindful eating is, let's look at the benefits one can gain by following this eating approach. So first, we have increased awareness of hunger and fullness. So when you eat without distractions by following the mindful eating steps, you learn how your hunger and fullness cues feel. It can take time for the stomach to register that you're full, so slowing down allows time for your body to tell you when you've had enough. So instead of hurrying through all the food on your plate, you will start to learn how much of that food you actually really want versus eating out of emotion or just eating what's on your plate because it's there. Another benefit is stress reduction. Cortisol is otherwise known as the stress hormone, and it's involved in the body's flight or fight response. So when feelings of stress are high, cortisol levels are often high as well. So research shows that eating in a calming manner can help reduce these cortisol levels, which in turn lowers our stress level. Better digestion. Mindful eating helps improve digestion by lowering stress levels, reducing overeating, and slowing down meals. When you eat slowly, you actually give your brain a heads up to signal your stomach to let the digestion process begin. Another benefit is reduced overeating and binge eating. Mindful eating provides a framework to help people pause their eating and check in with themselves. This pause helps break the cycle of overeating and binge eating by helping people slow down and listen again to their hunger cues, like we mentioned earlier. Increase satisfaction with food. When you're distracted while eating, you're more likely to eat more food than when eating mindfully. I mean, how many times have we all been eating a snack while watching TV, and before we know it, the snack's gone, and we really don't even remember eating it or eating as much as we did. So a mindful eating practice keeps you in the present and increases your awareness of your satisfaction cues. And over time, this will make it easier to maintain a balanced diet, which brings us to our last benefit, healthier food choices. So when you're aware of how much food makes, or how, excuse me, when you're aware of how food makes you feel, you may choose more nutritious foods. You can also increase your self-compassion to reduce emotional eating and focus more on foods that help you feel more energized. So instead of feeling overly full or bloated or sluggish after meals, you may make food choices that will help you feel better. So how did this concept of mindful eating come to be? Mindful eating stems from the broader philosophy of mindfulness. Mindfulness is an intentional focus on one's thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations in the present moment. Mindfulness targets becoming more aware of, rather than reacting to, one's situation and choices. The term mindfulness was defined by John Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer of mindfulness training at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. He defines it as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. The practice of mindfulness has helped thousands of people to live more intentionally and develop the skills necessary to manage chronic pain, disease, depression, sleeping problems, and anxiety. So if we take these mindfulness concepts into mindful eating, you can see there's really a lot of similarity. Maybe you have heard of My Plate, which is developed by the US Department of Agriculture, where the plate is divided into vegetables, fruit, protein, grains, and dairy. This mindful eating plate that you'll see on the slide takes a much different approach and puts emphasis on the following 5 focal points. Aware. Taste the food, not just munch mindlessly. So stay aware of the eating process. Take a bite, chew the food, and swallow. Savor. So take time to notice the taste, the texture, the aroma. Is it sweet? Is it salty? Is it spicy? Non-judgment. Speak to yourself with kindness as you would a friend, and don't let guilt or shame come into play. In the moment. Be fully present when you are eating. Eat without distractions. Turn off the TV. Sit at the kitchen table. Try not to eat at your desk or keep working while you're eating. And observe. Notice your body and its physical and emotional cues. Are you actually feeling hungry, or are you eating to fill an emotional void? So eat intentionally and only eat. After each bite, check in with your body to see how you are feeling and if you feel satisfied. So to dive into how to apply mindful eating and mindfulness into your daily eating experience, I'm going to turn it over now to Kelly, another member of our team.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, for that valuable information. As we were getting started, I was telling Carolyn and Isaac about a half hour ago, I was eating as I'm prepping this, mindlessly eating. So as I'm looking at the slide, so it definitely takes practice, and I'm going to go through 7 practices of mindful eating. There are no menus or recipes for this way of eating because it's more about how you eat rather than what you eat. So it makes it less restrictive than common fad diets. So one of the 7 practices is honor the food, acknowledging where the food was grown and who prepared the meal. Try to eat without distractions to help deepen the eating experience. as Carolyn mentioned before, eating at your desk or in the car while you're making kids dinner are all prime examples of mindless eating. So turn off the TV, get rid of distractions. Research indicates that if we sit at a table, it helps us to be mindful of how much we're eating, and it will make us enjoy our food more because we're more focused on it. Then we have engage all senses. Enjoy the sounds, colors, smells, tastes, and textures of the food and how you feel when you are eating. Pause periodically to engage with these senses. Use all of your senses. Really try and make an effort to observe the look, smell, and mouthfeel of your food. Take small bites, chew slowly. It's definitely easier said than done and may require practice. When you're first getting started, I would suggest that you set a timer for 20 minutes with a small portion of food and make sure it lasts that long. It's a really great challenge. And serve in modest portions. This can help avoid overeating and food waste. Use a dinner plate no larger than 9 inches across and fill it only once. Not that large, but if you have a smaller plate and fill it versus a larger plate, that will help with the portion sizes. Then we have savor small bites and chew thoroughly. So these practices can help slow down the meal and fully experience the food's flavor. So oftentimes we just eat so quickly, we're not even tasting what we're eating. That brings us to eating slowly to avoid overeating. If you eat slowly, you're more likely to recognize when you're feeling satisfied or when you're about 80% full, and then you can stop eating. I know all of us have experienced where you eat so quickly and then all of a sudden you feel so sick that because you're so overstuffed and overate. So it takes a little while for your body to catch up and those hunger cues to dissipate when you're eating. So really take your time to avoid overeating. One way to do that is pausing between each bite of food and ask yourself, am I satisfied? Can I stop here? Often we eat a whole plate of food before even taking a pause or a breath. So try to decipher between being hungry and being satisfied to guide your decisions. And we have don't skip meals. Going too long without eating increases the risk of strong hunger, which may lead to the quickest and easiest food choice, not always a healthful one. Setting meals around the same time each day, as well as planning for enough time to enjoy a meal or snack, reduces these risks. And lastly, eat a more of a plant-based diet for your health and for your planet. I'm not suggesting you have to go completely vegetarian or plant-based, but just try to be more mindful of adding in more plant-based menus and foods to your daily nutrition. So considering the long-term effects of eating certain foods, such as processed meat and saturated fat, which are associated with increased risk of colon cancer and heart disease. And then there's the production of animal-based foods like meat and dairy that takes a heavier toll on our environment than plant-based foods. We have a plant protein presentation that's on our YouTube channel that I'm shamelessly plugging right now if you ever want to go back to that. So a lot of people think you can't get enough protein through plant-based, but there's many choices, especially now. So now that we are aware of the 7 practices of mindful eating, let's explore a few exercises. I promise you we will get to that piece of food that we asked you to have nearby. But this one, we're just going to go through 3 exercises that you could try on your own the next time you're eating. So we went through the 7 practices, but these are just little exercises you could also try. Is go dark. So hunger is strongly affected by visual cues. So try closing your eyes for a second as you take a bite of food. By removing this visual cue, it can make it less tempting to eat everything on your plate or in the bag if it happens to be you're snacking on chips. It'll be easier to focus on what you're eating and whether you feel full. The second way is take matters into your own hands. So that 20-minute timer is one way. Another one is to process what you're eating and not rushing through a snack or meal. Some try to slow down by using your non-dominant hand to eat. I think I would be very sloppy and messy, but maybe I'll have to try this. So this will help you become more attentive to the process. And then thirdly, throw your taste buds a curveball. So does it seem like that first bite of chocolate cake is always the best? And if so, there really is a reason for that. Your taste buds recognize the new sensations, and then they quickly become used to that taste. It can be easy to get caught into a cycle of overeating while unsuccessfully chasing the satisfaction of that first bite. So if you're having trouble walking away from a certain food, try taking a bite of something that's a different flavor, a different texture or temperature. Wait a moment, and then go back to the food you're really enjoying or overeating. And see, does it taste different? And is that enough to satisfy you? All right, now we are going to put this practice together with a 5-minute mindful eating exercise. On there, I will share on the slides later the site I got this mindful practice. But if we want to change our eating habits for the better, we must first learn to eat intentionally and attentively. So in a world that's more distracted than ever, that can be very hard to do. And when you're distracted, it's easy to miss some important details. So with this 5-minute mindful eating exercise, you're going to choose a delicious food. I know a lot of people are probably looking for chocolate right now. Whatever is delicious to you. You're going to slow down and focus on the eating experience. And then we're going to go through and reflect and recognize how it makes you feel. So for this exercise, I again recommend something you really enjoy or crave. Maybe it's not right by you right now, so you have to do. Isaac's going to enjoy his water right now. And I want you to either sit down at your desk or move to a table if you prefer. And I am going to watch. I guess I'll set a timer. I will set a timer. I'm going to make sure, otherwise I'll never keep track. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. We're all in this together. Could be worse. Could be that 20-minute exercise. And do not open your food if it's in a container, wrapper, or if it happens to have a peel, if you're going for a piece of fruit or something, keep it closed for now. And now go ahead and close your eyes and just breathe. Sitting at your desk or table, close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths. Feel your breath enter your nose as it fills your lungs, and notice how the air feels as you exhale. 4 more deep breaths. Now notice how you feel. Try to notice how your body feels as you sit waiting to eat the item sitting in front of you. Are you feeling hungry? Are you feeling stressed? Tired? Perhaps you're feeling even guilty about eating this particular item. Or maybe you're excited to eat it. Just try to notice just the thoughts or feelings that arise for you. Then dismiss them. You don't need to dwell on them, analyze them, judge them. Just becoming in tune to how you're feeling and thinking. Now, if your eyes are not open, go ahead and open your eyes and examine your item of food. What does the wrapper, container, outside look like? Pay attention to the color. Go ahead and pick up the food and feel its weight in your hand. Next, open the container, wrapper, or unpeel it if necessary. Paying careful attention to the sound of the wrapper, the peel, as you do so. Now smell the food item. Hold the food close to your nose and smell it. What aromas do you notice? Now, some people may have very little portions of their food, so this will be tough. You're going to try to take a very small bite of the food item. So for Carolyn, who has a cover peanut butter pretzel, maybe part of a salt, and then try to think, I always think of when you take a small bite of food, I think of my kids when they're trying food for the very first time, like they're so scared, like they just like lick it and barely touch it. Just kind of think of that way. Just take a very small bite, a very small taste of that item. Bite into it and then let it melt softly in your mouth or dissolve. Everything we're eating is going to have different textures. Notice how that texture changes. And notice the flavor. Is it bitter? Is it salty or sweet? Are there other subtle flavors you wouldn't normally have noticed? Notice each flavor before swallowing. Now pause before taking a second bite and think about how you feel. What did you notice about that first bite and how did it make you feel? Did it make you feel satisfied? Does it make you hungrier? Are you excited to slowly explore more flavors with another piece? And then go ahead and continue to eat the food item slowly and mindfully, taking one small bite at a time. And as you eat, pay attention to any emotions or thoughts that come up for you. Okay, now time is up. We're 40 seconds short. But showing me how hard it is even to have you go through it for 5 minutes. But I want you to take a few deep breaths and notice how you feel. So what did you notice by eating mindfully? Now it's time to reflect on your experience. Consider the following questions. And if you're feeling open, share what you learned below in the comments. And what food item you experimented with today. So how did it feel to eat mindfully? Go ahead if you want to share what you ate and how it felt, or any emotions or thoughts that came up while you're eating. Maybe you're like, I want a larger portion. Did mindful eating help you appreciate the food item more? Did you learn anything about yourself from this experience? I learned I'm still very impatient when it comes to anything. And then lastly, a note on distraction. If you find yourself getting distracted when you're doing this exercise, don't worry. Just notice the distraction, just like when we do our mindfulness or meditations, and bring your attention back to the mindful eating exercise. Remember, the goal of this exercise is to build awareness. You don't have to analyze your eating behaviors or thoughts. You're just noticing them and then come back to the present moment. So thank you so much for participating in this 5-minute exercise with me. I like seeing all the comments. It's so fun. All right, pear salad. Oh, that's so nice. Like, yeah, having the different flavors. When you have salt, I love the salty sweet like Carolyn has had. So yeah, experimenting with other flavors too really helps. So yeah, I'm like Carolyn. I would just want to pop the whole thing into my mouth rather than taking those little bites. So I really appreciate it. Feel free to keep the comments going. I hope you gained insight into just how 5 minutes can change your eating mindset. And now Isaac's going to fill us in about all the new and exciting upcoming events and weekly live offerings.
Yes, I am here, Kelly. Thank you so much for that great information and leading us through that activity. I definitely agree with Susan's comment there in the chat. It's called practice for a reason. You got to do this more times to get totally used to that. So thank you. Yeah, now let's go over a few upcoming events and opportunities. If you haven't seen it already, this month's fitness focus is 15 days of arms. This challenge has you doing one set of a different arm exercise every day for 15 consecutive days. You can access the fillable PDF on this slide or on our SharePoint site. June 8th at noon Central Time, join us for our Positive Posture webinar with our special guest, Amy Willis from Medtronic's EHS, to learn proper ergonomics, the best ways to stay mobile, flexible, and in good posture throughout your workday. We aim to give you all the knowledge and resources to optimize your workspace. I also wanted to spotlight our new live offering that Kelly is leading, our meditation flex break on Tuesday mornings, 7:30 to 7:45 Central Time. It'll take you through a guided meditation that involves moving and stretching your body. It's a perfect way to combine both your physical and mental well-being. So feel free to add this session via the link on this slide or through our SharePoint site. In addition to our new meditation flex break, take the time at some point to investigate all our weekly live offerings. We offer a variety of different sessions ranging from quick 15-minute low-impact workouts and posture sessions to relaxing guided meditations and yoga. You can add any of these offerings through the link on these slides or on our SharePoint site. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to attend our webinar. Please feel free to share one thing you learned today or an action item that you plan to begin after today's information. Don't forget to join the Healthier Together Yammer community to learn about upcoming challenges, programs, and other resources available to you. And then always feel free to reach out to one of us for any questions as we are here to help you stay healthy. Thanks again for joining, and have a mindful, restful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming, everyone. Let's see.
I'm really hungry now.
Yeah, about to go scarf down some lunch. Just kidding, just kidding. All right.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.